April 12, 1951. MiG Alley, North Korea. Captain James Jabara is flying his F-86 Sabre on combat air patrol when his wingman radios a warning. MiGs, 12 o'clock high, diving. 6 Soviet-built MiG-15s are dropping out of 40,000 feet, accelerating through Mach 0.9, hunting for a formation of B-29 Superfortresses below. The same B-29s that firebombed Tokyo and dropped atomic bombs on Japan are now easy prey for a fighter that didn't exist 5 years ago. This is the story of how the MiG-15 changed air combat forever and forced America to completely rethink jet fighter design. The MiG-15 appears over Korea in November 1950 like something from science fiction. Swept wings, sleek fuselage, cockpit positioned far forward. It looks nothing like the straight-wing jets the Americans are flying, and it's devastatingly effective. The first encounters are one-sided massacres. B-29 formations protected by F-80 shooting stars are jumped by MiG-15s flying 100 miles per hour faster and 10,000 feet higher than the escorts can reach. The MiGs dive through the formation, fire their 37mm and 23mm cannons, and climb back to altitude before the American fighters can respond. B-29s start falling out of the sky. On October 28, 1951, a formation of 21 B-29s attacks the airfield at Namsi. They're escorted by 55 F-84 Thunderjets. The planners think this is overwhelming force. They're wrong. Over 100 MiG-15s intercept the formation. The F-80s are outclassed immediately. They can't climb to the MiG's altitude. They can't catch them in a dive. They're spectators. The MiGs tear into the B-29s. 3 Superfortresses are shot down. 5 more are so heavily damaged they crash land or are written off. This is Black Tuesday. The mission that proves the B-29, the aircraft that won the strategic bombing campaign against Japan, is obsolete. Here's why the MiG-15 is so lethal. It's designed by Artem Mikoyan and Mikhail Gurevich specifically to kill American bombers. Everything about the aircraft prioritizes altitude performance and heavy armament. The engine is a Klimov VK-1, a reverse-engineered copy of the British Rolls-Royce Nene. It produces 5,950 pounds of thrust, exceptional for 1950, the swept wing design, based on German research captured at the end of World War II, allows the aircraft to operate efficiently at transonic speeds. Maximum speed, 668 miles per hour at altitude. Service ceiling, 50,000 feet. Rate of climb, 10,000 feet per minute. The F-80 Shooting Star, America's primary jet fighter in 1950, maxes out at 580 miles per hour and 46,000 feet. It climbs at 6,800 feet per minute. The MiG-15 outperforms it in every category. But the real killer is the armament. The MiG-15 carries one 37mm Nudelman N-37 cannon and two 23mm Nudelman Richter NR-23 cannons. These are enormous weapons for a fighter aircraft. The 37mm cannon fires shells weighing 1.5 pounds each. A single hit can destroy a B-29's engine. 2 or 3 hits can break the wing spar. The 23mm cannons fire 850-gram shells. Even glancing hits cause catastrophic damage. American fighters of the era carry .50 caliber machine guns. Effective, but you need sustained fire to down a bomber. The MiG-15 needs 3 seconds of burst. Soviet and Chinese pilots flying MiG-15s develop specific tactics for bomber intercepts. They operate in pairs, approaching from high altitude, using speed and altitude advantage to position for a single high deflection shot. The attack profile is brutal. Dive from 45,000 feet, accelerate to maximum speed, open fire from 1,000 yards, break away before the escort fighters can react. The entire attack takes less than 15 seconds. B-29 gunners can't track targets closing at 600 miles per hour. By the time they see the MiG, it's already firing. The Americans respond by shifting B-29 operations to night missions only. Daylight bombing of North Korea effectively ends in 1951. The Superfortress, which dropped 161,000 tons of bombs on Japan, is grounded by a fighter that weighs 8,000 pounds empty. But the MiG-15 has weaknesses. The heavy cannons have slow rates of fire and limited ammunition. The 37mm carries only 40 rounds. The pilot gets maybe 4 firing passes before running out. The aircraft is also unstable at a high speed. Push past Mach 0.92 and the controls lock up. Pilots report the stick going rigid, the aircraft entering uncontrollable pitch oscillations. Several MiG-15s break apart in mid-air from high-speed structural failure. And the cockpit visibility is poor. The canopy is small, heavily framed. The pilot sits low in the fuselage. Checking 6 o'clock requires contorting in the seat and craning your neck. These weaknesses give American pilots an opening. In December 1950, the F-86 Sabre arrives in Korea. The F-86 is America's answer to the MiG-15. Similar swept-wing design, similar performance, but with critical advantages. Better cockpit visibility, hydraulically boosted controls that don't lock up at high speed, and a radar-ranging gun sight that computes deflection automatically. The Sabre versus MiG-15 becomes the first jet versus jet-air combat in history. And it's brutal. Captain James Jabara scores the first Sabre kill on April 3, 1951. He bounces a pair of MiG-15s over the Yalu River, closes to 1,000 feet, and fires a burst from his 6.50 caliber machine guns. The MiG explodes. But the MiG pilot who survives reports something unexpected. The American jet matched his climb rate and turn performance. The MiG-15's altitude advantage is gone. Now it's a dogfight, and American pilots, with better training and combat experience, start winning. On May 20, 1951, Jabara becomes the first jet ace in history, downing his 5th and 6th MiG-15s in a single mission. He'll finish the war with 15 kills. But the Americans are also taking losses. MiG-15s flown by Soviet pilots, officially advisors, but actually combat veterans from World War II, are scoring kills against Sabres. The dogfights over MiG Alley, the nickname for the Yalu River border area, become legendary. Formations of 40 to 50 jets, swirling and turning battles at 40,000 feet, contrails everywhere. Aircraft falling, parachutes blooming, pilots on both sides running out of fuel and gliding back to base. The official kill ratio is 10-1 in favor of American pilots, but Soviet records released after the Cold War suggest it's closer to 2-1. The Americans overclaimed, the Soviets underclaimed. The truth is somewhere in between. What's not disputed? The MiG-15 forced the U.S. Air Force to abandon daylight strategic bombing and completely redesign its fighter aircraft. The F-100 Super Sabre, the next-generation American fighter, is designed specifically to counter the MiG-15. Faster, higher climbing, with better high-speed handling. The MiG-15 production run totals over 12,000 aircraft. It serves with 40 air forces. Some are still flying today in North Korea, 70 years after the first prototype. Soviet test pilots who flew captured F-86 Sabres against MiG-15s in comparative trials reported the aircraft were roughly equal. The MiG climbed slightly better, the Sabre turned slightly better. In a dogfight, pilot skill was the deciding factor, but in the strategic sense, the MiG-15 won. It forced America to develop new fighters, new tactics, new training programs. The entire structure of U.S. air combat doctrine changed because of one Soviet jet. Captain Jabara, the first jet ace, flew 163 combat missions in Korea. He downed 15 MiG-15s. He was shot down once, crash-landed twice, and survived the war. He died in 1966 in a car accident in Florida. He was 42 years old. The MiG-15 he shot down on April 3, 1951, scoring the first Sabre kill, crashed near the Yalu River. The wreckage was never recovered. But the impact of that dogfight reverberates today. Every modern fighter aircraft, F-15, F-16, F-22, owes its swept-wing design to research pioneered by the Germans, perfected by the Soviets, and proven in combat over Korea by the MiG-15. Because sometimes the aircraft that changes everything isn't the one that wins the most battles. Sometimes it's the one that forces everyone else to evolve.